All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 112 of Sports Hype. Unfortunately, we did have two very sad passings this past week actually. Jacoby Jones of the Baltimore Ravens passed away this past week, I believe earlier in the week, and then later in the week, I believe Wednesday it was. We received news that the father of Kobe Bryant, Joe Bryant, also passed away at only 69 years old. So I just want to pay respect to both of them and both of their careers, specifically uh, Joe Bryant, as I know that he was a key player for the Sixers as well as many other teams, and Jacoby Jones was a key contributor to the Ravens in a Super Bowl win, as well as some other Super Bowl runs. So both of them had great careers in their respective sports. So pay respects to them and rest in peace to both of them, and prayers up to all of their families and friends.
Yeah. First off, Jacoby Jones, NFL champion with the Baltimore Ravens, a great wide receiver. Obviously, pay respect to his family, his friends, and prayers up for those guys. I feel like every football player knows the risks that happens. Obviously, this was an accident, but I feel like football players often die younger just because of where they are, how many concussions they receive, the head injuries.
It's really the head injuries, if we're going to be honest with it.
The contact. Everyone knows the risks involved about it, but truly an amazing player, one of the greats, great wide receiver. Moving on to Joe Bryant, we all know how great of an impact he had on Kobe, right? Obviously, he went into the same profession as his father. Without Joe Bryant, we wouldn't have Kobe Bryant, in the meaning that he learned so many lessons from his father. He learned realistically, the Mamba mentality started with Joe Bryant, instilling that into Kobe, showing, hey, talent's not going to, cut it. You got to work hard. I don't care if you're the best player on the team. You're going to work at it. You're going to keep working. And that really helped Kobe shape the type of player and person he was. And now, obviously, Mr. Bryant, Joe Bryant, died, passed on, joining his son and his granddaughter. So obviously, he's in a better place, joining his son. But definitely for his family, for the Bryant family, prayers up for them for another hard loss in the recent years. So, pay our respects to those guys. But then again, they left on legacies. They will not be forgotten. So.
Yeah, I mean, even Jacoby Jones, both of them will be remembered forever for the contributions they made to their respective sport. Like they might not be here anymore, but their legacies will live on.
For sure.
But getting into the talking points for the episode, once again, not much to go through. There is a few big news splashes that we have heard over the past week, though. Starting with T. Higgins is not going to get a long-term deal from the Cincinnati Bengals. However, he will instead decide to play on the franchise tag for the second straight year and then enter free agency next year if they don't get a deal done. So we'll give our thoughts on that entire process regarding the Bengals. Brandon Ayuk is probably the biggest news of the week, requesting a trade from the 49ers after extension talks with them fell through. The 49ers are standing pat on not trading him as of right now, but he might hold out for not only training camp, but for the regular season as well. So they might have to trade him if they want to get something back for him. So we'll give the best landing spots for that if that does happen. Broncos and guard Quinn Meinerz agreed on a new 4-year, $80 million deal, which includes $45 million guaranteed, and it makes him one of the highest paid guards in the NFL. So give our thoughts on that contract. And then the Browns and kicker Dustin Hopkins agreed on a 3-year, $15.9 million contract. He is now one of the top five highest paid kickers in the league. Let's give our thoughts on that. And then two-time Pro Bowler Eddie Jackson, the safety who was formerly a Chicago Bear, did sign a one-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens earlier today. So we'll give our thoughts on that. And get to the NBA. Guard Cam Payne signed a one-year, $3.1 million deal with the Knicks, bolstering their bench. So give our thoughts on that signing, as well as Gary Trent Jr. signing a one-year deal with the Bucks. And the Clippers traded Russell Westbrook, a second-round pick swap, and cash to the Utah Jazz in a sign-and-trade agreement for Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn signed a 3-year, $17 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers, and Russell Westbrook is expected to agree on a contract buyout with the Utah Jazz once again, this time in order to sign with the Denver Nuggets. So we'll give our thoughts on that whole scenario. And then to round out the podcast, we'll touch on the Lakers hiring a female assistant, Lindsey Harding, as assistant coach on JJ Redick's staff. She won G League Coach of the Year and also is very familiar with JJ Redick as she coached him at Duke, as well as when he was on the Sixers. So we'll give our thoughts on that hiring and what it means for the Lakers. First and foremost, we'll start with T. Higgins not getting a long-term deal and deciding to play on the franchise tag for a second straight year. So what's your thoughts on that whole situation with the Bengals and T. Higgins?
It sucks, to be honest. The Bengals are just getting worse. And why does it suck? It's because you have Joe Burrow. You have Jamar Chase, right? And it could have been such a phenomenal offense, a generational type offense, but they're just losing too many pieces. T. Higgins.
They already lost Mixon too.
Right. An amazing piece with T. Higgins. To be on the franchise tag is just disrespectful to him at this point, once again, not to get that contract extension. For this, I believe he should go the Brandon Ayuk route, but at the same time, respect to him for wanting to get it done, get the season over with. Go ahead, show what you got, get the bag in the long run, and hopefully he will definitely do that. You know, if it's not with the Bengals next year, it'll be with a different team, and you got to watch out because if he signs with a contender like a Kansas City Chiefs, like a possible Jets, if say Aaron Rodgers stays there. Say he signs with the Texans. You never know. The Steelers. There's a lot of great contenders out there that can be using T. Higgins. So if that happens, you know, kudos to him. But the Bengals are really messing this up.
Yeah. I really honestly have no idea what the Cincinnati Bengals have been doing this past offseason and a half. You have Joe Burrow at quarterback. His championship window is not going to be open forever. You have to make do with what you have. Ever since they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Los Angeles Rams, they've been going downhill. Now, yes, you know, Joe Burrow was injured last year, but you have to keep the weapons around him, and they're not doing that. As I said, they already lost Joe Mixon to the Houston Texans, and now they might even lose T. Higgins. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to pay T. Higgins, or you're just going to have to let him walk. I mean, I just don't understand why they're not re-signing him, because if they do, they already lost Tyler Boyd as well as Tennessee. So if they lose T. Higgins, who else do they have? Just Jamar Chase. And what are teams going to do? Send triple teams at him because they know that they'll let anyone else beat them except Jamar Chase. You're not only ruining your franchise, but you're also ruining Joe Burrow's and Jamar Chase's potential legacy with this move if you don't re-sign him.
For sure.
I agree with you, though. I think he should go the Brandon Ayuk route, but I think why he isn't, like you said, he's trying to prove himself to other teams so he can get that bag. But I also think he's trying to win now, and he doesn't think that any other team that he'd be sent to is in a win now position like the Bengals are.
I know it's not your opinion, but I disagree with the fact that you get Bengals. You're in the hardest conference or in the hardest division as it is in the AFC North. As if you even get out of that division, like say go to the AFC East, I'm sure you can play with even Buffalo. I think is a better contender than the Bengals at this point. I think if you go to the Jets, that's another great contender. Even if you stay within the division, going to the Browns, possibly going to the Steelers is another great move. join your buddy, Tyler Boyd, and down in, where is he? Tennessee, right?
Tennessee, yeah.
I would even go to Tennessee. Obviously they just got, I forget who was it, Pollard.
Yeah,
They
yep.
signed Pollard.
Hmm.
They have Pollard. I would go there, just because it adds another depth weapon to them. But I think any place is better than the Bengals at this point.
Yeah, but also the problem with that is that you could request a trade and say where you want to go, but we've seen it happen multiple times where the team, like out of a spur, sends them to a terrible team because they're mad that they asked out.
For sure, right? And they could be sent to a bad team, but he is still so very young that he could still get the bag. They'll get a great team around him. Say go to Chicago. Everyone thinks Chicago sucks. I think they're going to be great in the next coming years. They had a great draft class, great young talent around them. Get sent to Chicago. I think you'll be set for the near future.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think he's just trying to get his value up even more because the wide receiver market is continuing to increase and will only continue to increase this next season. So he's trying to get his value up as much as possible with the Bengals. And then once the time is right, he's gonna be like, all right, you guys aren't going to sign me, then I'm out.
Right.
But it is a very unfortunate situation because if they do let him walk, they're just, like I said, tarnishing their legacy as well as their players' legacies.
For sure.
But moving on to another top receiver in the league, and Brandon Ayuk, he did request a trade from the 49ers after the extension talks fell through. The 49ers are standing pat as of right now, but rumors are that Ayuk's going to hold out of training camp, waiting for an extension. And if one doesn't happen, who knows? It could lead into the regular season of him holding out as well. So what's your thoughts on this? And if he does get traded, what are your best landing spots?
I think this is the best move for himself personally. As a fan of the game, I don't want to see any player sit out. I think you should, T. Higgins, you should play the game, prove yourself. You were the third option on that team to begin with. You had, obvious, or maybe even fourth option. Let's be
I was
honest.
gonna say fourth because CMC.
Right. CMC is the number one option, no doubt about it. Debo's an obvious number two. You have George Kittle's there still, who's a beast. And then obviously when you're looking at it at that standpoint, you have no right to sit out. Then again, he is a great talent. I'm sure there are teams that want him, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we will see if he does get moved. But at the same time, the San Francisco 49ers are not going to miss him. They have plenty of talent. They have a Super Bowl ready team as it is right now. So, I mean, I think the 49ers are in the best position at this point in this standoff. But then again, who knows? And maybe they can just add something more depth than they already have to make sure they win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I'm the 49ers, I'm not hesitating to move him if he really wants out that bad because we have Deebo Samuel, like you said. Yes, he's injury prone. We have George Kittle and we have CMC along with Brock Purdy. And we saw this coming. We went into the draft knowing that we had to draft wide receivers because of the fact that Ayuk might ask out. Now that he asked out, you already have Ricky Pearsall, who you drafted and who rumors are is opening eyes at training camp. So if that's the case, I wouldn't hesitate trading him because you could get a lot for him with the way he played last year. You could probably get a first round pick and another depth wide receiver.
100%.
So I agree. I think the 49ers are in the best position here. I think they're standing pat trying to get the best deal per se for Ayuk. And once that happens, I believe that he will be moved.
I agree.
But we'll see what happens. Moving on to an offensive lineman, it's an insane story for Quinn Meinerz. He was, I believe, a 3-star or something like that in college, and then he transferred, and then he was projected to go undrafted, and in the Senior Bowl he showed out and was a 3rd-round pick, and now he is one of the highest paid guards in the league, agreeing on a 4-year, $80 million deal with the Broncos, which includes $45 million guaranteed. So what's your thoughts on this for him?
I mean, I just want to say kudos to him. Great, work ethic. For him to do what he did, it's an amazing story. For him to be one of the top highest paid guards in the league is phenomenal for him. So it just shows you what you can do when you have the dedication and the mindset to reach your goals. And so for him to do that is amazing, and definitely an inspiration. But moving forward for the football aspect of it, I think they did this because they are the Denver Broncos. They have the money, and who else are they going to spend it on? But yeah, kudos to him.
Yeah, I agree. Young kids should definitely look up to Quinn Meinerz. Don't listen to the doubters. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. I mean, he went to D3 college and was projected to go undrafted, and then got drafted and made the bag. So if you put your mind to it and put the work in, you can do anything. Just don't listen to the doubters. But yeah, for the football aspect, it doesn't really mean much for the Broncos. I mean, they're still going to be one of the worst teams in the league, in my opinion, just because they're in a rebuild phase, obviously. But it was a great signing for them because he is one of their best O-linemen, and they need to keep as much of that O-line intact as possible as of right now to continue to rebuild it. So great signing for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So just why? And I'm just thinking, are they trying to help out Bo with this move?
I think they're trying to protect him. Yeah.
Like I'm thinking, is this enough? Is he left or right?
I'm not sure what one he is. I'm not sure exactly, but I mean, I know he's a guard.
Yeah. I mean, if he's a left guard, he's going to have a lot in store for him for sure. So I mean, we'll see. He definitely is going to have to prove it. I'm sure. I think he plays against the Steelers. He plays against a lot of great competition. Chris Jones. Obviously, he's going to play twice this year. So we'll see what he can do and see if he's worth this kind of money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they definitely are trying to protect Bo Nix and protect their future because they gotta. That's the first thing they got to do. I mean, the only reason Russell Wilson was terrible, according to the doubters, in my eyes, is because of his O-line. He had no time to throw whatsoever. He couldn't look down the field. If you can't look down the field as a quarterback, any quarterback behind that line, put Patrick Mahomes back there, he'd look just as bad as Russell Wilson did. You can't throw without having time.
100%.
So I think that's a good move for both of them, and kudos to Quinn Meinerz for getting the bag.
Yep.
Moving on to a kicker in Dustin Hopkins, who's been doing it for a long time. He agreed on a 3-year, $15.9 million contract with the Cleveland Browns. As I said in the talk points, he's now one of the top 5 highest paid kickers in the entire NFL. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think kickers get enough credit for what they do. I think this is a phenomenal move for them and phenomenal move for himself. So, kudos to him getting that bag, and can't wait to see him kick next year.
Yeah, I agree. Kickers do not get enough credit at all. They get too much hate. I mean, try going out in negative degree weather with wind gusts of 30 and kicking a field goal and making it for the win. I mean, the only time they get praise if they make it, and then once they miss one field goal or one extra point, it's like the world is ending. So they need some more credit, and I'm glad that they are starting to get the contracts that they deserved and the recognition that they deserve. So congrats on the new contract, and it was a great move by the Browns as well.
For sure.
But moving on to 2-time Pro Bowler Eddie Jackson signing a 1-year deal with the Ravens. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great move. I think they're already in the front running to go ahead and go to the Super Bowl at this point. So, it adds depth to them, and it's just a fantastic move for the Ravens, fantastic move for himself, and we'll see if they can get it done.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I'm ready to put him in the front run for the Super Bowl contention yet. I got to see what Lamar Jackson we get in the playoffs first and foremost. That's the one thing that has been on paper. I can't count out the Chiefs anymore, man. I can't count out the Chiefs anymore.
No, you can't. But I'm saying as a front runner, they are technically the front runner. Because look at what the Chiefs have compared to them. Yes.
I mean, the Chiefs' offense is, in my opinion,
you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a realistic standpoint. If you're looking at an analytic standpoint, the Ravens take the cake.
I mean, the Chiefs added a lot to their offense, and they made it with less last year.
They did. But if you look at it at an analytic standpoint, having a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, having a running back like Derrick Henry, having Zay Flowers, right? Having your weapons, having Mark Andrews, having that defense. I mean, it's just on paper. I don't think you can beat.
Personally, I have the Chiefs a little bit above them, but I won't be. Obviously, it's the Ravens or the Chiefs and the Ravens out of the AFC for me personally. Those two are the front runners.
I have the Chiefs going back to back. Okay, just because it's Patrick Mahomes. But I'm saying
you mean back to back, two back.
That's right. As an analytic standpoint, though, like it's just statistically, the numbers don't lie, and you would have the Ravens. But numbers in the real life do lie, and we see that all the time in sports, where it's the intangibles win you the games, and I think that's why the Chiefs win. It's because of the intangibles.
Yeah, and I mean, better quarterback play. Let's be honest. I mean, Mahomes is the best to ever do it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, I won't be surprised if the Ravens do finally get over the hump, because this is the best team they've had in years. And if they don't get over the hump with this team, there's just going to be more hate towards Lamar Jackson. So I think he knows that, and he knows that this is the year that he needs to deliver. So we'll see what happens. But to get to the signing, it was a great signing by the Ravens. Eddie Jackson is a great safety, and he did great things for Chicago and is going to continue to do great things for the Ravens. And like you said, their team is set up for a lot of success in the next few years.
For sure.
But moving on to the NBA, guard campaign did sign a 1-year, $3.1 million deal with the New York Knicks. So what's your thoughts on that signing?
Yeah, we've discussed this many times. They do need depth, but they have a lot of guards, okay? You look at the entire team in its entirety, and you're still missing a lot of size.
You're missing size. I mean, Mitchell Robinson is the only center, let's be honest.
You also got Pascal Achua, but at the same time, you need size. You have a lot of guards.
And Robinson's not going to stay healthy either, let's be honest there too.
That too. But you have Mikal Bridges, you have Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson as your top four. In my opinion, they are four guards, right? Yeah, Mikal is a little bigger, so maybe put him on the, in the forward aspect of it. But they are technically four guards. You still need a couple forwards. You need some big size. You need wings. You need, centers. You need that front court. And you just added another guard. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't make a difference to me. Keep it moving.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw this and I was a little bit surprised. I mean, maybe they did it for chemistry purposes because Cam Payne and Mikal Bridges were on the same team in Phoenix before both of them got moved. But, I mean, like you said, their guard depth is already insane. They have Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson. Mikal Bridges could be classified as a guard. The list goes on. Half their team is guards. Miles McBride. You did not need a guard, let alone a point guard. So the fact they went after a guard instead of the low-profile big man is a little confusing to me.
For sure.
But I mean, Cam Payne is a great player. Don't get me wrong. Not knocking him. It's the least of their worries.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. Cam Payne is a little scrappy, so maybe he can go in and get rebounds himself. And he does add depth to their bench, but they definitely need to go out and get some size next.
Sure.
Move on to another guard in Gary Trent Jr. signing a 1-year deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like this move a lot. He's a great guard. Can definitely give you spurts of offense. He's an explosive type of player, meaning that he can go out there in the fourth quarter, you're down 15. He'll make sure you're up by 10 at the end of the game. So I think this is a great added, necessary piece for the Bucks, and definitely helps him winning that championship, hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, I agree. This was a great ad for them. Him and Damian Lillard in the same backcourt is pretty lethal. Two of the best 3-point shooters in the league. So you can't double one of them and leave the other open. So that's going to be pretty hard for defenses to counter. When I saw this, though, as a Lakers fan, I was a little upset because Gary Trent was tied to us, as has every player been, and we haven't gotten any of them, obviously. But a little upset that he went to Milwaukee. But I mean, I get it. He wants to win, and the Bucks are probably, out of the suitors that he had, are the best place for him to win one. I mean, he's sick of losing. He was on Toronto for a long time, and we all know where Toronto's going. So great signing for both Gary Trent and the Bucks.
Sure.
But moving on to probably the biggest news of the week, and the Clippers trading Russell Westbrook a second-round pick swap and cash to the Utah Jazz and a sign and trade agreement for Chris Dunn. As I said, Chris Dunn signed a 3-year, $17 million deal with the Clippers, and Russ is expected to agree on a contract buyout with the Jazz in order to sign with the Denver Nuggets. So what's your thoughts on this whole situation for both sides?
Yeah, this is a good move for the Clippers. Obviously, they lost a lot of key pieces. Adding Chris Dunn, he's a great offensive piece, great guy. I think he'll definitely make a difference on that team. But more importantly, Russell Westbrook is going to sign with Denver Nuggets, like we all thought he was going to. That, to me, I had the Denver Nuggets out of the playoff, pretty much out of the championship hopes, out of the contending race. Russell Westbrook puts him right back in that, gives him that dog mentality that KCP had, gives him that, effort, gives him that rebounding necessary. And then if he just had to be himself, just be himself, right? With Nikola Jokic on that team, with Aaron Gordon, with Jamal Murray, it's going to be a scary team. I mean, he has no pressure on him like he did with the Lakers. He has no pressure on him like he did with the Clippers. Let's be honest. Yeah, he was the fourth option, but everyone expected him to be that guy on the Clippers. He just has to be himself on the Denver Nuggets. It's a scary team, and I'm afraid if I'm a team in the West, look out, Denver's here to stay. With a coach like Mike Malone, it's going to be scary. And who's your daddy, LA? Who's your daddy, LA?
Yeah, I mean, I saw this and I was a little upset because obviously he's going to Denver, which, I mean, as you said, we all expected. And it is very scary because, like you said, no pressure for him whatsoever. I mean, yeah, their goal is a championship, but he doesn't have to do anything specific to get them to that goal. He can just go out there and do the little things and, he can be like a Draymond Green type of role for the Denver Nuggets. Get like 10 rebounds, 10 assists with 0 points. Like that, he doesn't need to score. They got Nikola Jokic, they got Jamal Murray, they got Aaron Gordon, they got Michael Porter Jr. The least of their worries is him scoring. They want him to go out there and do the scrappy things. And that's the things that he's best at. So this makes the Denver Nuggets very, very dangerous. The one thing that might not fit well is his shooting, of course, because he's going to get open looks with Nikola Jokic. So he's going to have to work on that jump shot. Maybe he'll get a few to fall here and there. But even if like he's still a great fit for them. Like he's going to make them a much better team. And that's a great signing for the Nuggets once it officially happens. And as a Lakers fan, it hurts my heart because Denver's still going to continue to beat us as they always do. But for the Clippers, it's a good signing, and Chris Dunn as well. Chris Dunn is a very underrated player, in my opinion. He doesn't get enough credit, and it's because he was on the Jazz. Now that he's on a higher profile team like the Clippers, he's going to be noticed more, and I think he's going to be a great player for them and a great player off the bench for them to relieve James Harden when needed, and he can just come in and keep the pace and score 10 to 15 points and get him a few wins. But lastly, we're going to touch on the Lakers hiring Lindsey Harding as an assistant coach on JJ Redick's staff. She did win G League Coach of the Year, I believe, last year, and is familiar with JJ as she coached him on the 76ers and Duke. So what's your thoughts on this hiring for the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great, the last assistant coaching opening they have on the squad, right?
I think we have one more position open, but it's the position coach since Phil Handy's leaving. So I think it's the assistant coaches are filled out. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a great signing. I think he has a well-rounded, staff, that's behind him right now. It's amazing to see. Then again, it's amazing to see a woman who is, climbed the ranks. Obviously, she coached with Coach K. He gave her that, first step into the coaching realm. Then coaching with the 76ers, and this obviously Coach of the Year in the G League is phenomenal and, and an accolade in itself. Now coaching with with the Los Angeles Lakers. How much bigger can it get? The next step for her is to be a head coach in the NBA, and I think she'll get it. I mean, if it wasn't gonna be Becky Ham, right? It
Hammond,
wasn't gonna
yeah.
be, it was not gonna be her, which she went to the WNBA. But if it wasn't gonna be her, it was definitely gonna be what's her name?
Lindsey Harding.
Was it Lindsey Harding for sure? So kudos to her, and hopefully she makes that next step and becomes head coach in the NBA.
Yeah, as a Lakers fan, I really like this hiring. We have a very rounded out staff, very experienced staff, which is what my worry was once we hired JJ Redick, is that we needed an experienced staff around him since he's never coached. And now that we have that, I'm completely on board with it. And hopefully they help JJ learn the ropes of being an NBA head coach, at least what he needs to learn. I mean, he already knows the analytical part of it very well. He just has to learn the statistical stuff of it and like when to call timeouts and stuff like that. But I'm sure he'll learn quickly, especially with the experienced staff around him. So great. I mean, the Lakers haven't done much in the offseason, but the one thing they did do was get a great coaching staff for JJ Redick. So I'm happy about that. And hopefully they do make roster changes, but if not, we'll see what we can do with the roster that we have.
And don't forget, you have LeBron James, who is the greatest player coach of all time. I think, even you said, all the timeout adjustments, LeBron James knows when to call a timeout whenever he needs to. Okay. LeBron James knows what kind of plays he needs to run. I feel like those two guys, if you have a JJ Redick and LeBron James, it's just like having Rajon Rondo, or like a Chris Paul on your team, right? As a player. Now you have, JJ as a coach calling the shots. It's amazing to see, and I just cannot wait to see what those two draw up in the regular season and heading forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited. Even if we do, keep the roster, like everyone's saying this roster was horrible. It wasn't really that horrible. Like we had 47 wins with a horrible head coach. There's a difference. The roster wasn't terrible. If Darvin Ham went to the roster that he played in the Western Conference Finals the previous year, we probably would have had 50 plus wins. So I think this roster can at least get 50 wins with JJ Redick.
For sure. And I also think that it's definitely going to be helpful when you have JJ with like a D'Lo. I'm sure he's going to run a lot of things for him. And what JJ does is he understands the strengths and weaknesses of everyone's game. And I definitely believe he's going to run plays that runs to everyone's strengths, because instead of just running basketball plays like, oh, let's just run this, right? Let's just run this motion. No, you can't do that. You have to run plays for the strengths of the players, get the ball into Anthony Davis's hands, LeBron's hands, get D'Lo into the corner and let him, pop that shot. You can't have D'Lo doing dribble handoffs, dribble, and then have him shoot with 5 seconds left in the clock. He's just not that type of player anymore. So you have to have him be that catch and shoot type of guy, because the release aspect of it, he has one of the quickest releases in the game. Obviously, we all know he catches the ball and shoots it right above the pocket now. So, we got to, promote that and definitely use that to their advantage.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, if you guys haven't been looking at the Summer League, look no further than Dalton Connect as well. I mean, he's been playing absolutely insane. Sure. Imagine him in that offense with JJ Redick as head coach and D'Angelo Russell and the vision he has as point guard. Dalton Connect is going to be one of the best rookies in the league. Mark my words.
I also have to see LeBron James and Bronny James. I mean, yes, everyone knows, namesake, whatever. Oh, Bronny's not doing that good. Look at the last two Summer League games. The kid's been playing phenomenal. What I have to say is the athleticism on this kid it's phenomenal. It is Russell Westbrook-esque. He's only going to get better, in my opinion. You have him with LeBron James, one of the most athletic players of all time. I'm telling you right now, they're going to be going through the roof. It's Lob City 2.0, in my opinion, with Anthony Davis as well. So, I mean, LeBron, Bronny, AD, you're not stopping them inside. I think Bronny, he gets a chance. He'll have a couple posters this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bronny, the rumor is that he'll play a game with LeBron, obviously, at the beginning of the year, in my opinion. Woj is saying that he'll go to the G League for at least 2 years, but Bronny's fine with that. But I think he'll be called up for more than one game. And once he does prove himself, he's probably going to stay on the roster, as he is. I believe he is signed to a two-way.
Yeah, For sure.
So, I mean, and we haven't even touched on Anthony Davis. I mean, he went, minutes, stints without touching the ball last year. JJ Redick's not going to have any of that. And he came out and said that. He said, no, everything goes through Anthony Davis. It's not LeBron's team anymore. LeBron doesn't want it to be his team.
Yeah.
It's Anthony Davis's team. He's getting the ball every time down, no matter what. And I think that's going to bring a lot out of Anthony Davis and fire him up and probably make him play the best basketball he's played ever as a Laker outside of 2020.
Yeah, we're going to see a more dominant Anthony Davis like we did when he was with the New Orleans. He was a top 5 player when he was in New Orleans, no doubt about it. Moving to the Lakers, he had to take a step back with LeBron James, but I think we're going to see that top 5 player that everyone hoped to see him when he was on the Lakers.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you haven't been watching Team USA showcase games, I mean, he had 6 blocks in less than 2 minutes, or 3 blocks in less than 2 minutes yesterday. So, I mean, he's looking like close to the 2020 version when the Lakers won the championship.
For sure.
So, I mean, the roster, yes, there's tweaks that can be made, but if worst comes to worst, they run it back, the roster's not terrible as people think.
Right.
So I think the Lakers will surprise some people. I'm not saying they'll be, top 3 or top 4, but I could see them sneaking into the top 6 and not having to go through the play-in, which is all they want. All they want is a chance. As long as you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, all you need is a chance, and they will do the rest.
That's right.
So we'll see what happens, but overall, I'm very happy with the coaching staff that the Lakers have, and I'm excited for the season.
Yeah.
But anything going on in the sneaker world, or has it still been quiet?
I would say it's still been a little quiet. Obviously, I think I will shout out Anthony Edwards. AE ones tomorrow coming out, July 20th, in an all black colorway. It's like Black Ops. It's amazing looking. Yeah. So if you're an Anthony Edwards fans, go ahead, go to the Adidas store. Probably one of the best hoop shoes out there right now. So coming out July 20th, AE ones all black. So go get those. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be quiet now. We got a lot of great news in the video game world, so I just want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I mean, the long-awaited College Football 25 video game has finally dropped after years, it feels like, of waiting, because we haven't had it in 10 years. It's just as I imagine it would be. It's beautiful. The Road to Glory game mode could have a little tweak, in my opinion. If you're a 3-star or below, you do get demoted after every year, and you have to work your way up, unfortunately. So I think they need to take that out of the game. In my opinion, they should have kept high school in that game mode. It was more fun when you worked your way up as a high school recruit and worked your way up to as many stars as you could get, and then went to college. So I think they should have added that. But if they don't do that, they need to take the emotions out. It takes the fun out of it. But outside of that, great game mode. That's the only complaint I have. Dynasty, just as great. I mean, it's just a great game. If you guys are into college football, or not even into college football, or just into football video games in general, highly recommend this game. It's not too expensive, around $70 for the regular version, around $100 for the deluxe version. It's a great game, and I highly recommend getting it, because if you do get Madden as well, you could carry your Road to Glory player into Madden and continue that career there as well. So great game, and highly recommend it. But other than that, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Go down in the comment section. Next time might be back. Who knows? We'll see you next time, but I'm sure he's down there for now. If you guys like this podcast, please give it a like. We really appreciate it. If you guys liked anything we said, like with the Lakers, with Russell Westbrook, go ahead and give that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And then until next time, like two wise men once said, subscribe. Peace.
Peace.